Hello again. One thing virtually every parent has is a fussy baby. That's because fussiness is a part of virtually every infant's growth cycle. Fussiness can be distressing for parents and family members, not to mention their baby. How do you recognize fussiness?
And how do you care for a fussy baby? A Fussy Baby Network at the Erickson Institute has good tips and expert support for you.
My name is Linda Gilkerson, and I'm on the faculty at the Erickson Institute in Chicago, and had the privilege around 11 years ago of working with my colleagues there to start the Fussy Baby Network. And we started by first talking with families and asking them about their experience and what their needs were.
I'm Maria Basardito. I'm a clinical psychologist and infant mental health specialist at Erickson Institute. I'm a home visitor and I work with families of Latino or Hispanic origin, providing support around their concerns with their fussy babies.
One of the things we know is that when they come home from the hospital, they are very quiet. And crying doesn't usually start until about 2 or 3 weeks after the baby's home. And then it increases over the next 4 weeks or so and peaks at about 6 weeks. We call this the crying curve. And then it tends to come down over the next several weeks until at about 3 months it evens out.
What we also do know is that not all babies cry the same amount. Some babies are high criers and others are low criers. But we do know that all babies go through this crying curve. It is not the same for every baby, so some babies will start a little earlier than 2 weeks and others will stop later than 8 weeks.
There really isn't a difference in this crying curve between babies of different backgrounds.
What research has shown us is that this crying curve is universal and it does not differ depending on the baby's ethnicity or origin. So for Latino babies, it is usually the same as for babies of any other ethnicity. For a baby that is around 8 weeks old, they might cry up to 3 hours a day at the very most. And then at around 6 weeks, it should be about 1.5 hours to 2.5 hours a day. It really varies a lot depending on the baby. So like we said, some babies are high criers and others are low criers.
Our job is to be with the parent and to figure out who that baby is that they are raising and how to be helpful to them. People might ask, why worry about fussy babies? It's important because infant crying is the #1 trigger for abusive head trauma or shaken baby syndrome. Really important that we offer support for parents early on around this stressful time. If crying persists past this normal crying period of the first 3 months, then these babies are also at risk for later developmental and behavioral problems. And there's a stress within the family system. Often issues between the parenting partners, the mother and father, can last for up to 3 years after the baby has even stopped being fussy. And there's also risk for maternal depression and risk for parent-child relationship distress.
To calm someone, you really need to be calm yourself first. So that is a very important first step. And then trying to remember who they are, what has worked in the past, who their baby is, and what works for them is really important too. Strategies that typically work with fussy babies are strategies that are consistent, that are rhythmic, and that are repetitive. So shushing can help, movement can help as well. The strategies that work are really going to depend on who the baby is and who that particular baby and that particular parent is. So if you have a baby who really tends to soothe more with calming strategies, such as darkness or lower stimulation, less noise, those are important things to keep in mind. If your baby tends to respond more to higher stimulations, such as movement or noises that are calming, those are strategies that can work as well.
It's very individualized. And what works one day may not work the next day. So it's a process of learning your baby, being with your baby, and figuring it out over time.
So it's important to think, how can you as a parent help your fussy baby, especially at a time in which you might be feeling very exhausted and at the end of your rope. What we have found helps is, first of all, acknowledging how you're feeling, realizing that maybe you are feeling very tired, and holding that. And sometimes asking for help is really what is needed. So if you have a trusted friend or your partner, someone from your family who can help you care for your baby, that is a very important resource to keep in mind and ask for that help.
One thing that it's really important to remember is that it's perfectly okay to put your baby down when you feel overwhelmed yourself or stressed, that you can put your baby down in a safe place and then take time to calm yourself and give yourself time to take a deep breath, maybe call someone to come and be with you and to take that space so that you can be calm and then ready to go back to your baby. It's also important to remember to have confidence in yourself and in your baby. When babies are fussy, it can feel like nothing works and there must be something wrong with the baby or there must be something wrong with me. And really what's happening is you're being with your baby through a really tough time. And parents of fussy babies have this challenge long before many other parents do. But there's a real chance to strengthen your parenting muscle, we think about it that way, and take this forward with you, that you can be there with your baby through the storm.
We've also found that it is very important for families to get help once they start feeling this stress in the relationship, and the importance of early intervention is something we have witnessed time and time again. For families or for mothers and fathers that are experiencing perinatal mood disorders, having someone who can listen without judgment and who can be there effectively attuned to whatever they're needing at the moment can make a really big difference at a time as vulnerable as having a baby is.
What we know from our work with families and from our own research is it's not the amount of crying that really correlates with the parent's stress, but it's whether they perceive the crying as problematic. So it's the parent's felt experience of the cry that's the most important determinant. And that's why it's important to be so attuned to parents and to see the baby that they see first.
Some parents are surprised that we spend as much time talking about them as we do about their baby. Sometimes it's not as expected that we would focus on their experience as well. But what we have found is that the experience of being the parent of a baby that is more challenging or fussy can be very stressful in and of itself. We've also found that spending enough time with parents deeply listening to their concerns can help us get more quickly to what they are really most worried about and want to talk or discuss in a home visit.
We've found that parents of fussy babies often feel that there's either something wrong with them or there's something wrong with their baby. And that's why we spend a lot of time focusing on each, the parent's experience of the baby, and then their focus on the baby as well. They're both important.
So at Fussy Baby Network at Erickson Institute, what we really try to do is be there for parents at this very stressful time of taking care of their fussy baby. And we provide support in a lot of different ways. We, first of all, have a warm line to which parents can call, and this is statewide and nationwide. It is free, and it is staffed by the same professionals that do the home visiting in our program. For families that live in Cook County area, we're able to offer home visits, and we do not turn any family away out of lack of ability to pay. We offer a sliding fee, so we really want our service to be available for any family that really needs it. And something that's also a big part of our program is the quick response. If families contact us via email or warm line, we always call them back and try to establish a first contact before the first 48 hours.
The first two families that came to the Fussy Baby program taught us so much about what families need. The first family was a family where both the parents were family physicians. And they both had supported many families through this fussy baby period, through colic. But it was all different when it was their baby. And it was the dad that called. And what he needed to say was so hard he could barely say it. But what the message he needed to convey was, what's so hard is, I don't love her. And I never thought I'd feel that way about my own baby. And this program for him was in that empathic inquiry space, just being there and listening with acceptance. And the relief he felt was palpable after he could share that. Our second family was a teen parent who lived on the far south side, and she was sure there was something wrong with her baby. And she kept taking her baby to the doctor, and the doctor couldn't see what she was seeing and couldn't really hear her concern. And that's what she really needed. She needed someone to take her very seriously and to look very specifically at what was concerning her. And that kind of close attention to her worries and her concern and her baby was really what turned it around for her. And actually, there was something in the baby that did need some extra help that only she was seeing in the beginning. But with our support, she was able to communicate that back to her other helpers and get the help she needed.
So the Fussy Baby Network at Erickson Institute can provide help to infant family professionals in a variety of different ways. We offer training as well as telephone consultation. They can refer families to us, and we offer home visits for families that are within Cook County, as well as parent support groups.
I think one of the things we've learned is it's so important to really take parents seriously with their worries and concerns. And what we've learned to do is to say, it must be so hard to be so worried about your baby. We really have to go with their concerns and understand them first. And then we believe they can shift. If they can feel understood, they can grow.